Dante said there's no greater sorrow than to recall a happy time when miserable. In the midst of pandemic, economic instability, protests, riots, and a general feeling of weariness, the desire to go back to a simpler time is palpable. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 could not have come out at a better time. If you're looking for an objective review of this game, you came to the wrong place. I absolutely adored Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. It was one of the 2 games my roommates and I owned in college, and to say we played an obsessive amount of that game was an understatement. However, my love of the original cuts both ways. Maybe I'll just love this game because it's more of the game I love. Perhaps I'll hate it because it can never recapture the feeling of those bygone days. But good news, I love it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is nostalgia done perfectly. Vicarious Visions took everything that was great about the original and polished it to a glossy finish. If you've never played a Tony Hawk's game before, it's a little difficult to explain what it is. If you're looking for an accurate skateboarding simulator, this is not the series you're looking for. You may want to look in the direction of Skate XL. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is probably better described as a skateboarding fantasy game. You want to hit 15 switches on a rail and then throw a 900 off a rooftop into a nose manual? Sure. Grind the propeller of a helicopter? Knock yourself out. The game is part skateboarding power fantasy and part puzzle game. The beauty of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is that if you're the achievement-oriented type, this is the game for you. There are tons of levels and dozens of challenges per level, and hundreds of challenges for each skater, and dozens of skaters. However, if you're more interested in challenging yourself to be the sickest shredder in the world, it's also the game for you. There isn't really a modern equivalent to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. In the 90s and early 2000s, there were many similar games for BMX, snowboarding, even rollerblading. But there's a reason Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is the last game standing. It was probably the best example of this format. Sorry, Chris Edwards. There's a reason most skateboarding games that aren't Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 are highly criticized. Nothing since has really captured the accessibility and complexity of the original games. The ability to choose controls from Pro Skater 1, 2, or 3 is an ingenious approach. If you just want to play like an OG, go with the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 moveset. If you want something in the middle, you can go with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And if you want the most flexibility, just go with the default. I'm currently using the default because honestly having the revert button gives a ton of extra combo overhead, but it's great to have the flexibility to play it the way that you want to, and it shows that Vicarious Visions put in the thought to striking a balance between nostalgia and modernity. Most people playing this game know what to expect, but if you're new to the franchise, these games are an absolute treat. Getting started is simple. You'll feel like a badass before you've completed Warehouse, but soon the challenge scores will start to seem more daunting. Eventually maps become a canvas, and your bag of tricks are paints and brushes. You'll be less limited by the moveset and more limited by your imagination. Coming up with the perfect line while constantly trying to use new tricks always feels fresh, and seeing six-figure scores off a combo is still as rewarding as it's ever been. What can I say about the sound in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2? Let's get the actual sound effects out of the way first. They're noticeably better than the originals. In addition to the sounds of trucks grinding rails, wheels squawking against concrete, and glass shattering, one thing that impressed me was the skater vocals. Tony's excitement of landing a trick and his frustration at bailing are perfect. Likewise, the sounds of impacts and the skaters' groans and moans when getting back up and dusting themselves off make the experience that much more immersive. With the sound effects out of the way, let's talk about the soundtrack. I am completely incapable of being objective about this. I love the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtracks. These are the songs of my youth. Beyond taking me back to the glory days of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, it also takes me back to my own 20-something years. Perhaps what shocked me the most was how well the new songs fit in with the soundtrack. You'd think with 2 decades between games, it would be hard to add music to the soundtrack of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 without it feeling out of place, but somehow it works. Almost all the original tracks are there save for 5 missing songs, and the added tracks flow so well with the feel of the game. Standout among the new tracks is Bass by Mercules, who is hands down one of the best rappers in the game right now, and it's awesome to see him get exposure this way. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtracks have always been amazing, and as eclectic as it is, it just works. All the songs capture the energy and excitement of skate culture. Even if a genre isn't your taste, you might find an appreciation for a new artist. Damn, does this game look good and run smooth. I'm running the game on a 2-year-old gaming laptop with a GTX 1060, and while I'm only running it on medium detail, it still looks great. Levels look much brighter, and they're more well-defined than they have been in the past, and have an increased verticality and depth with much longer draw distances. The original game's levels were well designed, but they were a little flat and didn't have a lot of detail. The differing surface textures on surfaces, graffiti tags, shattered glass, and realistic debris all make the world of the game seem like an actual warehouse, school, or hangar. That have been highly renovated by a skateboarder with unlimited money. Character animations look better than they ever have before. Bales in particular have a weightiness to them that wasn't seen in the original. One criticism is that the occasional character hang-ups at low speed look janky, especially when you're trying to turn and you bang into a small obstacle. I haven't had a chance to check out multiplayer yet, but I'm looking forward to throwing down the gauntlet against some of my buddies online once I get the rust off my trucks. Likewise, I ain't got time to design skate parks when there are hidden tapes to find, secret areas to be unlocked, and sick combos to be had. I'm sure these aspects of the game will stretch my time in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 far into the future. The old adage attributed to Thomas Wolfe is, "You can't go home again." Your childhood bedroom is smaller than you remember. Your high school crush was honestly more of a 4 than a 10. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater thinks Thomas Wolfe is a total poser. In a way, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is the perfect example of going home again. If you went back and played the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, it would never live up to your expectations after 2 decades of game improvements. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 makes a Tony Hawk's game that's as good as the way you remember the originals being. Vicarious Visions turns your childhood bedroom into an MTV crib, your high school crush into a Victoria's Secret model, and tells you, you know what? You can go home again.